Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where I loaded in the game and discovered we were floating here. I did not burn anything to make this happen. This is just a thing. But we do actually need to get out of here. So let's just go ahead and get ourselves into a bit of an orbit here. We've already got an apoapsis height of 5 kilometers here. So we're just going to burn here at the horizon for a moment. And I'm actually fairly concerned about this altitude. We are going to get ourselves additional altitude here. Cool. So we're already at escape velocity here. And if we were to burn prograde here, this would actually not be what we want. We want to escape Eve. So if we were to burn at the apoapsis here, this would probably also not be what we want since we're pretty tight on delta V. But that's not that much DV. What would that end up looking like out here, though? For potentially an intercept with Kerbal. I mean, that's not awful. Yeah, that's not awful. We could just do an escape, though. Something kind of like this. Call that good. That's only 280 meters per second. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So we will position here, and we are on our way back to Kerbal. So we'll go ahead and, well, we can't actually warp here because we're too low. We will go ahead and physics warp our way on up. And we will be ascending very, very not super quickly. We're going at like 29 meters per second. Now, under most circumstances, I would pause here and say we'll come back when we can time warp, or maybe even at this at this particular node. But in this particular situation, I'm actually not going to do that. And the reason for that is my stream goes live in like 40 minutes here, and I gotta fill time. I'm just running really far behind, and that's just because it's first of the month and I have to do a bunch of billing stuff for work. But I'm running a little bit behind today, and it's not that big of a deal. It's not going to be a thing in the future, but for now, this will have to do. So we're going to physics warp on up here, and we are 3 kilometers above the surface. We have to get up above 8,500, or actually I think it's 8,000 kilometers. No, because the periapsis is still below 8,500. So we're going to have to physics warp for a bit here. We can adjust our heading ever so slightly. I actually think that we're going to have the delta V to return home. I was a little concerned about that, but looking at this, I think we're good. I think we're good. There's Eve, of course, and we are saying goodbye, Eve. We're about 5 kilometers above the surface of Gilly now. Man, escape velocity on Gilly is so low. Just absurdly low. The good news is Jeb is going to get a lot of skill from this. We're going to get a lot of cash from this. And we're also going to get a ridiculous amount of science from this. Honestly, we're going to have our science pretty close to maxed out after this flight. I don't think it'll quite get there, but it'll be pretty close. Like, it's going to be a lot of science. We're at 6,500 kilometers now. No, 6,500 meters, 6,500 kilometers would be very high. Like, well outside of the sphere of influence. That'd be nice, but we're not there yet. So we're up to 7,500 meters now. And continuing to go up here. So that's great. To be clear, we should actually cancel this, and while still physics warping, because we need to make our escape here, hypothetically, if we were to go to the periapsis here and burn prograde, that's only 50 meters per second. This is the better way to do it. This is absolutely the better way to do it. And I knew that, but I was a little surprised that the other one was only 250, and I would have accepted that if I wasn't feeling like we were tight on TV. But honestly, I think we're okay. I really, really think we're okay. So we'll position up over here, and we're now above 10 kilometers. Can we time warp now? Hang on, let's just get positioned here. Hey, we can time warp. Excellent. So that's going to go much, much faster now. Cool. We're definitely drifting off node. Let's cancel the time warp and position on node a bit. There we go. Now we're at 100x, and as we get further away, that'll get faster and faster. Now we're at 1000x. Now we're at 10,000x. Perfect. So this is eventually going to be a retrograde burn. We're about 14 days away from this burn right now. We can retract our legs if we weren't time warping. That's definitely a thing that we would want to do, is retract our legs. Well, not really. We're going to be not bringing this whole stack back, that's for sure. We're going to be coming back with what we're supposed to come back with for once. So that'll be fine. We're about 4 days away from our burn start. 3 days. 2 days. 1 day. Burn starting momentarily. I'll retract the legs just for visual sake. There we go. And honestly, we can do this burn now. It doesn't matter. This is fine. There we go. Good enough. And at this periapsis, hypothetically, you can see where Kerbal is right now. But at this periapsis, if we were to attempt to get to Kerbal... Okay. I mean, our ascending and descending nodes are going to be a little awkward. We're about 2 degrees off. That's probably... No, I don't want to burn that much normal. Get out of here. I want to change when this burn is occurring. So it'll probably be what? Somewhere around... Even this is probably going to be pretty far off. Not even close. Yeah, okay. We should change our inclination then. So in that case, we will go ahead and do so. Our next opportunity would be at the ascending node. Yes, at the ascending node. So we would need to burn normal at the ascending node. No, anti-normal. What am I talking about? And how much DV would that be? 400! That's a lot of DV. But we can swing that. That'll be fine. So we'll flip over to anti-normal here. And this is going to be a 96-day warp, but luckily we're going to be able to warp it pretty quickly. Yeah, no real problem here. So we are now over the sun. We've escaped from Eve. Fantastic. Escaped the gravitational influence of Gilly as well. Not like that's difficult to do. That is incredibly simplistic to do, in all honesty. Okay, so we're about a minute away from this burn right now. Honestly, this timing is fine. This timing doesn't really matter that much. So we will go ahead and burn, and we'll physics warp this burn. Wonderful. So this is going to burn out most of our side tanks, and then we'll have just the core tank remaining. Okay. And let's see how we're doing here. I mean, it's good enough. It's good enough. So let's look at what a potential encounter would look like. Yeah, you can see that's wildly off. Our timing isn't exactly great, but if we were to burn somewhere over here, actually over here, was it just flickering? It was just flickering. Okay. So our timing is pretty bad. There's no doubt about that. What we can do is we can make our phasing orbits better by burning out like at the ascending node here and making this be a little bit more elliptical like this. Now that's 500 delta V. And I'd rather not do that. Hypothetically, what if we just waited for an orbit or two? I mean, these timings are still awkward, but this would be a doable encounter here. What would that end up looking like? I mean, it's a pretty long wait for it, but we could potentially fine-tune this to do an arrow capture sort of thing. 15 million. We need to bring it anti-normal a bit, like so. And then just bring it in something kind of like this. This is a nice encounter. I've moved off of the node a bit. Bring that down to about 40 kilometers and then do a re-entry burn. That would do. We would need to nail this burn. Absolutely nail it. But let's get into position and we can begin warping. So this is going to be a pretty lengthy warp. Again, I would usually pause the recording here, but because of time constraints, we'll not do that for this time. Under most circumstances, I absolutely would here, but I guess you can get a taste of my pain. We're just sitting here chilling for a while. I mean, it's not too bad, right? We've got 300 days to go here. It's not that bad of a time warp. And this is going to burn most of our Delta V here. The real question is, hypothetically, what would it look like if we were to add a maneuver here? This retrograde maneuver is a lot of Delta V. Yeah, that's 1200. But we're looking for some aero capture here. We might want to target a little bit lower of a periapsis. We'll take a look at that. Yeah, that might be a thing that we want to target. We're about 100 days away here. If we targeted like a 30-kilometer periapsis, we'd probably lose our spectrovariometer, maybe our magnetometer, but that's, I think, okay. I don't think that's a concern. We're about 20 days from this warp at this point. We are on our way home. Well, not yet. After this burn, we will be. So we've got about 50 seconds on this, and this is a pure prograde burn, right? If we go into the maneuver editor, I think we actually have to have the maneuver selected for that. I'm pretty sure this is a pure prograde burn. I don't think I'm doing anything other than prograde. No, there is a small normal in there. So we're going to be on stability assist, and we'll just aim for like here for now. We're going to start our burn in about 15 seconds. We cannot lock to the maneuver node, which is sad. We're going to start our burn slightly early because we're going to have to detach these tanks. So we'll start our burn now. I'm dumb. I detached them early. But it's okay. I think we should be fine. In theory. Emphasis on the in theory. We'll have extra DV as well. So yeah, I think we'll aim for getting a little lower into the atmosphere. I'm thinking I'm thinking 30 kilometers. I think 20 would be pushing it. Of course, this is all pure dead reckoning, but I'm pretty sure that 20 would be pushing it. Let's take a look at our actual maneuver here. Okay. We've got about 300 meters per second left in this burn. Just changing our heading a little bit in the burn here. There we go. 150 meters per second left. There's our encounter. Or an encounter. But it wasn't the encounter we wanted. Okay. So we're going to need to burn this fairly carefully here. Maybe not that carefully. There we go. We now want this periapsis to come on down to, like I said, around 30 kilometers is going to be the target here. So that's 3 million. Okay, 300,000. 66. This is going to be really minute. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to thrust limit this thing down to 1.5% thrust. Because we need to adjust this very finely. Taking it down to 30K. Excellent. And we're going to look to aero capture. So we're going to be in orbital retrograde here. We've got 480 meters per second left. So before we actually hit this atmosphere, we're going to burn off virtually all of that, like up here. And that's going to be retrograde, sure. But it's also going to be radial, and we're not going to be able to retrograde that much. So we're going to do something kind of like this, and a little more retrograde. That would actually do the trick. That would burn off all of our remaining fuel. So we need to back this off ever so slightly. And toss in maybe a tiny bit more radial here. And then a little bit more retrograde. Yeah, that'll do right there. We'll have a little bit left over for a re-entry burn, but emphasis on the little, like 3 meters per second. Yikes. Okay. Well, there we go. No, I don't want to hold retrograde. Jeb, stop it. Stop it, Jeb. There we go. So this is going to be about 130 days here, but we are on our way back to Kerbal. We've got ourselves an encounter here, and we're going to be in orbit before we actually enter Atmo. So that's fantastic, in theory. That's fantastic in theory. I don't see Kerbal just yet. We'll see it soon. We're about 40 days away. 30 days. 20 days. 10 days. I still don't see Kerbal. There it is. Hi, Kerbal. Fancy meeting you here. So, I think that, Oh, we're not going to the maneuver node. It would help if we went to the actual maneuver. We can't warp? Not with this, anyway. What's going on here? Are we accidentally in physics warp? Hang on. I'm not sure what's happening here. We don't appear to be able to warp. Now we can warp here. Oh, this is going to be a 40-second burn? What? This is very wrong. Oh, I know why. It's because our thrust limiter is still here. There's the problem. We're going to want to start our burn in 18 minutes. Okay. Yeah, I'm a moron and didn't change that back, but that's fine. Okay. So we will begin our burn here as soon as it says to. Cool. Here in about another minute. And we'll begin this burn shortly. 3, 2, 1, now. Excellent. We're not yet officially in orbit, but I'm pretty sure aero braking would do the trick. But we're going to do this regardless. That's flying high. Okay, so we're now flying high. So we're just going to burn off all of our speed that we can. We're going to hold this position for the moment. Okay. And we're going to grab any data that we can here. And we're just going to park retrograde. Cool. Surface retrograde, and we are going to ditch our engine. Wonderful. We're coming in very fast here. That's a yikes. We knew that those parts would burn off. That was always a guarantee. That is a small problem. We might have an overheat of our re-entry module. That we don't want. But we can see here our speed is dropping fairly rapidly. But this is a pretty aggressive entry into the atmosphere. There's no doubt about that. How's our heat shield doing? Well, we've got plenty of ablation there. And plenty of ablation here as well. Cool. So far, this seems to be working pretty well. We knew that we would have burn-off of the spectrovariometer and the magnetometer. That is all incredibly unsurprising. But no, this looks great. We're down to 2.6 kilometers per second. 2.4. Yeah, this is a good aero brake. I like it. Good thing we did that re-entry burn, though. This would have been real spicy without it. But we're now down below 2 kilometers per second. We're down below orbital speed, and all is looking good. So I'm very happy with this mission, all things considered. That was pretty great. We're going to have to do it again, but I'm not going to do it immediately. Like, we'll probably wait on that for a little bit. 1.3 kilometers per second now, and we're 22 kilometers above sea level. Like, we're absolutely fine here. There's no problem. SAS can go off very soon. I think we also had some of our ladder bits burn off. That's kind of funny. Okay, sure. Well, we can turn SAS off now, and drogues go out. Flying low over deserts, huh? Okay, cool. We could grab an EVA report once we're moving a little more slowly. And main chute goes out, and we can physics warp. Perfect. We're 10 kilometers above the sea level right now. This is the actual radar altitude, 6 kilometers above that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's the drogues deploying. And the main chute will deploy now. Perfect. And we're going down at 10 meters per second. We'll just go ahead and have Hagguard hop out and grab an EVA report and hop back in. And we'll physics warp down to the ground. Excellent. Hello, cacti. Well, that was a bit of a butt clencher, I'm not going to lie. But here we go. We lost a heat shield at the end too, but we can grab some additional science from the Kerbal deserts. We're not going to grab these, it's not worth it, but we can grab the EVA report and the surface sample. There we go. And we'll go ahead and recover that. So this is going to be a truly ludicrous amount of science, like an absurd amount of science. An absolutely crazy amount of science. How much are we expecting here? Yeah, look at that. 3779. Insane. Looks like the lighting didn't quite load in properly. Oh, there's an eclipse going on. That explains it. That's actually pretty neat. And you know, that seems like it's a good way to end the episode. It's a couple minutes early here, but I'm going to do that because that stream is in like 20 minutes and I got to get ready for that. So let's do that, shall we? You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, Sigma162, Spartan News, Rose Valentine, and all the rest. And, of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.